People be like, hey, you want to go to a club? No, I got plans. And I got to sit at home and just be like, she doesn't want to do this podcast anymore. Hi, welcome back to Suga Honey Bubble Tea. This is the first episode of 2022, and we're coming at you hot. In case you forget, we are a podcast aimed to amplify Asian women voices through critical thinking and meaningful conversations. I am your host, Ange.
Hello, I am Toby. And before we start today's episode, please go follow us on Instagram at sugahoneybbt. It's at SUGAHONEYBBT. And we post a lot of podcast episode related segments every week. So make sure you go check us out there.
And just some housekeeping stuff. Please, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. That helps us go up in the ranking of podcasts, and so we get seen. And also, what is next? Ask me what's new.
What is new for 2022?
What is the tea? The newest tea is that we're on Patreon.
Yes.
Patreon is a subscription-based platform to support us in doing this podcast that you so love. And we too. And we are, because we're independent creators, and this is the best way to help us grow. There are different tiers that you can subscribe to, and you can also get a shout out on the pod when you subscribe to us. When you get a shout out, we'll say something about you, something about us, something. I don't know what it is. We'll say something. We'll make it fun, but it will be part of your shout out. So yeah, if you are in for a nice surprise, please subscribe to us on Patreon. And if you want more information, you can check us out on Instagram, which is sugahoneybbt, SUGAHONEYBBT.
Yes.
And that's it for the housekeeping stuff.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
You may wonder why we've gathered you all here.
Are you New Year new you or New Year same old you?
New Year, but new me every month.
It's just identity crisis.
Yeah,
New Year, identity crisis, bipolar.
I'm not who I was this morning. I'm not me. So we always do this little year-end review thing. And obviously we have to do that for 2021 for our first episode of 2022.
Yes, that's right.
So how, I guess, to like overlook, how was the experience in running this podcast the past year in 2021?
You sound like you're not here with me. You know, you sound like
I know. I sound like
do this podcast with me.
I was disassociating. So like, yeah.
Oh man. Okay. I'm gonna say this thing where I say every like end of year, mid-year stuff
Every month.
Yeah. I feel like once again this podcast really found its voice. We're gonna be like 5 years in and be like, you know what? I feel like this year we really found our voice.
We really found
on
it.
Episode 172.
It's just a cycle, a vicious cycle
of identity crisis.
Yes.
Yeah, I think once again we really found our voice this year.
Okay.
And I think one of my how do I say this? Like one of my biggest struggle is that I think in 2020,
yes,
we did a lot of episodes that are kind of like sex focused, or like we can talk about sex quite a bit.
Dating.
Dating, relationships, and especially like the topic or the title of the podcast episodes were very captivating. Yeah, like I rather deep throw a cactus, or something about pussy gods, something like that.
Clit,
yeah. And so I think during one of my biggest struggle in 2021 with the podcast is that I feel like people think we're a sex podcast.
Yeah.
And I don't blame anyone. I'm just like, how do I, you know how some porn stars, they did porn and then they're like, no, I'm going to be a like actress now. And then every time people see them, they're like, yeah, she used to do porn.
She's a porn star. Cannot shake it.
Shake it. Yeah. And I just feel like, it kind of bothered me. But, and that's kind of the reason why we kind of like change our intro a bit to cover all grounds.
Yeah, it feels like it's more, it captures our essence more. like rather than our older intro for
and
sure.
And also, like, I want to say in 2020, we definitely were having way more sex than we do now. So maybe that's why, but just, you know,
now
just so you guys
sporadically,
know.
Sporadically. But that was not who I am.
Yeah,
anymore.
just so you guys know, people change, circumstances change. And we like to talk about things that we are experiencing, like, of the now. And now it's just a bit of a dry spell. So we talk more philosophical shit.
Oh, man.
Yeah, what do you think? Like, do you think that people think that we're a sex podcast? Or has anyone talked to you about this?
I mean, when people like approach me, usually their example of the episode will be like the clit episode or like the dating one. Like they'll like bring up contents from that. Yeah. But I always think of it as like you know how singers and rappers, like for example Tyler the Creator, how when he first came out it was like very hardcore dark rap, like Cherry Bomb Yonkers, and then he like started to do more melody stuff because that was just who he was. And like now to his like latest album, it was kind of like, it feels like the most him, like the most Tyler thing. So I just feel like as like creator or artist, I feel like the stuff we create will always be personal. And I do believe that the work will reflect what and when we grow as individual. Yes. So the contents will just also grow with us. And I think, you know, maybe like when we grow, more people resonate with us, or we might lose some of the older listeners, but
listeners who's only in it for the ass eating,
dick sucking, Happy New Year. But we'll be continuously like iterating to the version that feels the most true to us. Yeah. I think that's the beauty of this podcast.
Yeah, because it's not like I don't resonate with the stuff we said before. I mean, like the sex episodes, they're great, they're really fun to do, and I still resonate with a lot of stuff I said.
For sure, yeah,
I don't regret saying anything like that. But I think with the, you know, finding our voice, we actually talk a bit more. Like in 2021, we actually talk a lot more on like societal issues or culture, race, and like more philosophical, like issues that we want to tackle, or questions. So it feels more true to us. Those conversations I feel are like more priority and more defining for the podcast. And I don't know, like people listening to this, like let us know, like when you first discover us, do you go through the list of podcasts and go through a list of episodes and just be like, find the one that you think is most captivating, or do you listen to like the latest one? Because I think that's where it kind of that's what happens. Yeah.
Maybe go listen to the latest one. It's just a suggestion from me.
When I was like talking to people, I always find, okay, I think this is what it is. Is that because I'm a very outspoken person. So if someone who met me for the first time, I'll say what I want to say, because that's what I always do. And then I might regret it in my mind after, but it's fine. That's my own issue to deal with.
Immediately.
But I'm just pretty outspoken. So like people will talk to me about like very lighthearted issues or like sex or something like that. And then they might think like, and then I would say, I'll give my opinion. And then maybe down the line, I'll be like, oh yeah, I have a podcast. So I kind of like link that together and be like, oh, maybe her podcast, she's outspoken and sex feminist. Oh, the podcast
men-hating
is like,
sex.
The podcast is probably a feminist, men-hating
sex podcast.
And then they get on here and we're like talking about like the meaning of life.
Questioning.
And like that, stuff like that. Yeah. So I think it's like definitely the way that people perceive me or us. Yeah. I think that's one thing. So I don't know. For me, I feel like, definitely our audience grows with us. And what about you? Any challenges?
I think my challenges for the past year is more so like me getting to know myself. Because I think I'm pretty clear on like what I want to do. Like, I know I'm always like a maker. Like, I'll always be making things.
Yes.
And like, you know,
can you make things to sell so we can make some money?
Yes, that to come. Like, even like in my 9 to 5 job or doing this podcast, like, I know I'll always be making things, but the struggle was almost like I was trying to find what feels right to me.
Yeah.
Not changing who I am, but still finding ways to get my voice across. Because I think a lot of the times I kind of get into that headspace of like, you know, being in like North America, being in like white corporate, like I have to be like very loud to be heard.
Yes.
And that's just really not who I am and not what I believe in. Mm-hmm. So trying to find like my way of communicating and like sharing my thought to the world while still being true to who I am was just the challenging part.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're always asked to be like, hey, you have to share your opinions on something, even though you don't want to?
Yes, for sure.
Because I find that in North American culture, for sure, it's like everyone has an opinion. Everyone's opinion is important, and you have to voice your opinion. And I'm like, no, some just ain't shit. So.
Ain't shit. Also, just because I don't voice my opinion doesn't mean I don't have perspective.
Yes.
And I have a lot of thoughts. I'm just trying to figure out if I want to share it and how I want to share it.
Yeah. And sometimes I just get so lazy to talk about things. Like you were saying how you have perspective or opinions, but you don't necessarily have to say them.
Yes.
But that might not fit in the societal expectations of a lot of people, or especially like white corporate.
Yeah, North America, for sure.
And you know how like monks, they go on these like once again
think like a monk has returned.
This year I definitely find that I like keep recommending people books.
Yeah.
And I could feel like, I don't know, but I can kind of sense people are just like, oh my God,
I just feel like you're getting commission from some bookstore that I don't know about. And
and you don't know, I'm just secretly making some profit.
What is going on?
What was I gonna say? Oh, you know how some monks go on like silent retreats?
Yeah.
And the usual like experience that people say is like, oh, the first couple of days are really tough because you want to say something because you're always saying shit.
Yeah.
And that's just how we live. We wake up, we say shit, and we eat, we shit, and we go to sleep.
Okay. Yes.
And for the first couple of days, you really want to talk, but you can't because you made this oath. And then gradually you start to feel like most of the things you say aren't important.
Yeah.
So then they come out of these silent retreats talking less, but only saying what need to be said, and they're just like more concise with the things they want to say.
Yes.
And I think that's a lesson for everyone.
Yes, I think everyone can really learn from this. Please. Especially those people who will not stop on Zoom meetings.
Oh
please.
my God.
Yeah.
But then it's like our listeners right now will be like, what the fuck they talking about? They talking like they have a podcast.
It's like going on and on right now. And I'm like, you guys should shut up.
But what am I supposed to do? I have a podcast. Like I'm just, 40 minutes of silent retreat?
ASMR, me breathing, just crying and breathing and throwing up.
This episode is just straight up Toby's anxiety attack.
Yeah. ASMR version.
Yeah. So now like with what you said, like I definitely resonate with that because I feel like now this year for sure, I think more and I talk less. Mm-hmm. And when I do talk, I just want to say what needs to be said.
Yeah.
Like no more, like I don't even argue with people anymore.
No.
Yeah. There's just no point.
No.
Yeah. For disagreement. I'm just like, sure. Believe in that.
You're
Flat
entitled
earther,
to your.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine because
You're
I don't know.
entitled to your opinion.
Yeah, I don't know if there needs to be, like, what is the point when you get? It's just ego, you know.
Yes,
it's just ego when you win.
True.
So there's no point. I'd rather just go home and masturbate or something. That's why people think we're a sex podcast. The issue is really me. I'm sorry.
Be masturbating. Just gonna get railed.
Oh my God. Okay, well, this episode is really just to talk a little bit about how we feel and like going into the new year and wishing everyone abundance, whatever. I think in the last segment we have a bit of like questions for each other.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I have one question for you.
Yeah.
What state of mind do you wish to be in 2022?
I wish to fuck all the bullshit. Just want to make some things and have some fun, respectfully.
Wait, what state of mind did you think you were in 2021?
Doing stuff out of obligation. But then towards the end of it, I'm like, oh my God, fuck all the bullshit. I want to have fun. And I think I used to like make stuff because I was like, oh my God, like I'm going to make these things because the world needs this, like da-da-da. You know, like trying to find meaning of it. But now I'm more like, okay, world doesn't need shit.
The world does not need shit.
Yes.
The world doesn't need anything, really.
Yeah. Like I don't want to justify making something because the world needs it. I want to make stuff because I want to make what I want to make. And I want to have fun while doing it. Because I think as we like grow and we try to perfect our craft or whatever, perfect our contents, like I started to get a little more critical and sometimes like more practical maybe, but I want to always remember that feeling of like starting something new and just have like that drive and that passion, like really want to do it and have fun.
Yeah, because you know how people are like, oh, I want to make a difference in the world.
Yes.
I mean, that's cool, bro. Like it's good. It's nice. It's a nice feeling, isn't it? But
I love that for you.
I love that for you. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't.
Yes.
It's just that I think that doesn't need to be, or that shouldn't really be the driving force of you doing something. That should be like, I think the driving force should be like you want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if you can help people along the way, or helping people is a result of you doing this thing, then that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But I think I have to want to do it and love doing it. Yeah. Otherwise, I would just be like, I want to help these people, but then like in the middle of it, I'll be like, I mean, who are they? They ain't shit. Fine, it's fine.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's cool. The world doesn't really need anything anymore.
Yeah,
from us, we have given enough.
We've done enough as a human race.
So speaking of making things that we want to make and do, in 2021 we had a few firsts.
Yes.
We had our first all Mandarin episodes, and then that carry on for the rest of the year.
Definitely.
Yeah, so we do full Mandarin episodes, and I feel like that really sets us like that definitely put us in a different mindset when we're doing this podcast, because now we like think about contents in two different ways.
Yeah.
And it is definitely challenging as well, because I feel like doing contents in Mandarin isn't just not like my first go-to.
Yes, for sure.
So that was tough for me. And then another first was we did the picnic.
Hot people picnic. A very fun thing.
How did you feel doing that?
It was a little bit like nerve-wracking at first, but just because like I didn't know what it's gonna be like, or like are people gonna come? Are they gonna have Are we gonna have sponsors? Blah blah blah. But it turned out really well, and I loved how we brought people together that didn't know each other,
like that,
and then everyone was just like having fun, just fucking vibing, having fun, fucking all the bullshit.
Yeah, no, I found out that some people met there and hung out afterwards.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Or like one of our sponsors got like new customers or whatever.
Oh nice.
Yeah, I felt kind of anxious for sure at first, because you know how we do this podcast and it's just you and me, and we talk to each other like it's just another Tuesday or whatever, because we know each other so well. And I sometimes forget that people are listening to us. Yes. And so like I always feel like really appreciative and like grateful when people like come and talk to us about the podcast, but I'm like just awkward, you know, I'm just an awkward person and I'm very forgetful. So I think during the picnic, people would come up to me and they would be like, hey, I really like that episode we did on whatever, and you said this and that, and I'm like, did I?
Was that me?
Yeah, and then I kind of forget that people know stuff about me.
Yeah,
because I don't know things about them.
Yeah,
and I thought, and that kind of like put me. I kind of was like caught off guard a bit.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh my god, kind of anxious. Don't know what to do, but I still. If you ever talk to me and I just like look like I'm not paying attention, it's because I'm trying to pick up that part of my memory.
I'm trying to remember.
I'm trying to remember what I said, or like, yeah, just please do not be alarmed. Please. Yeah, just my thinking mode. But I did have a lot of fun. And I think with the podcast, we one of the main thing that we want to do is community sense. Like we wanted to build a community of people that either think alike or want to talk about these issues with us or each other. And I think the picnic really put people together.
Yeah.
Like-minded people together. And that was really cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I feel like we can carry forward to 2022.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether it's through events or a different form, which is like Patreon.
Yes.
That's something that we're doing that is a more community sense thing.
Also, what are some things we need to look forward to? So what are some things you want to work on in 2022?
Time is a construct.
2022. Yeah, what are some things you want to work on in 2022?
A lot of my resolutions are intangible. One thing is I want to stop talking, like stop negative self-talk.
Yes, it's very difficult.
I feel like I am I'm just really tough on myself. If you hear the voice inside my head, you will be like, there's no way, you know? Like I'm just really like critical of myself. And yeah, so I want to work on that. And also, I think there's something that you can hold me accountable to.
Okay.
In the new year is less comparison to other people's success.
But you gotta voice it though, because how would I know?
So like, yeah. So if I'm like, hey, look at this person, they're doing so well.
I'll be like, they ain't shit.
They ain't shit, and their opinions ain't shit.
Just so extreme.
It's so hard because inherently I'm Asian. I can't let it go.
Yes.
And there's something I really want to work on, and I'm continuously working on it.
Yeah.
But I'm Asian and I'm domesticated to be a human, and I struggle with self-doubt.
Yeah.
That's just something I struggle with so much. So whenever I see someone else who, I don't know, like a new podcast that's doing like really well, it blew up, and I'm like, what are we? I ain't shit. I ain't shit.
Oh man,
that's really tough for me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's very normal to have that, and I will just hold you accountable. I'll try my best not to.
Because sometimes I'm like, oh, other people are doing so much on social media. Yes. And I feel like to be honest, I'm not a social media person. Yeah. Like and I've always said this on the pod, like if not for this podcast, I would just not have Instagram or whatever. But because I live in this, I don't know, this century. So I feel like I have to have some sort of like representation. Like this is the only way for the podcast to strive. Yes, is to have some sort of like online presence, and it's for always sure. Yeah, I feel like I always have to bombard people's feed to feel like my existence is there. Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you think about that?
I feel like as long as we are doing what feels like, I don't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. Yeah. So I think as long as what we're putting out still feels genuine to us, then that's okay. Yeah. And we don't have to just, I mean, sometimes people forget us.
Yeah.
And that just means they're not the real ones. You ain't real ones. You ain't our day ones. Just wait till we blow up. It'll be over for y'all.
Yeah. You know that that actress, Michaela Cole?
No.
And so she did a speech at the Emmys.
Okay.
And I was struggling with that stuff, like the social media and being visible,
right,
and all that. And then I read that, I heard that speech, and I was like, oh shit, that made a lot of sense.
Right.
I'll just say it. In a world that entices us to browse through the lives of others to help us better determine how we feel about ourselves, and to in turn feel the need to be constantly visible. For visibility these days seems to somehow equate to success.
Yeah.
Do not be afraid to disappear from it. Yeah. And that put me in perspective, because I feel like if we're not in people's view, then we don't exist, because that's the only platform or only way that we are in people's view.
Right.
Yeah. So when I read that, I'm like, all right, okay, I got to take a little break from social media. I got to take a little break from like trying to always be so like visible.
Yeah, I think sometimes a little hard, because when it's like success is so like especially in capitalism, I feel like it's like, oh, by the number of your followers, by how many likes you get.
Yeah.
Am I getting traction? Am I blowing up? But sometimes it can be a lot more than that. It's definitely something that's very hard to compute for my brain as well. But I think it's just like to look past that and just like do what we feel like is right for us to do. Even though y'all ain't following us, we still gotta do what feels right for us, I think.
Yeah. I guess like to hold me accountable is to, if I spiral, just tell me to focus on the now. Like, what is one thing that we can do now?
Now, yeah.
Yeah, and that will probably, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, maybe year end of 2022, I'll be like, I ain't shit. I don't know. I'm not sure how it will play out, but I feel like I just need to be like more, because I'm always more goal oriented. I think about the future a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, I think about the future. I think about the future of humanity even. And that makes me extremely anxious.
The key is to have no thoughts, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of like the opposite. I don't really think about the future.
Yeah,
but
and that's why it's so interesting.
Yes, but I'm also very anxious. Like, it doesn't make me less anxious. But I think I will just do it, but I will know when I don't want to do it. And I think I'll know very clearly then what I wanted to do. Yeah. But there is no, we can think, but I don't think there's any point in dwelling on things. And I think sometimes I can like think of a lot of like conceptual stuff or esoteric stuff, and I kind of just stayed up there. But I think there's always things that you can do right now. Like, what is like one change that you can make in the next year that will immediately make you feel better about your life? You know what I mean? Like, ask yourself that question instead of like, is human race good? Yeah, I think it's good, but it's like, you also need to put stuff like into fruition. And I think asking ourselves question like that, like very like practical questions.
Practical, that's
it's what we need to do.
Practical,
yeah. I'm a novelty babe.
Focus on the focus on the now. Well, and that was Toby's TED Talk. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
What is one thing that you wish to be held accountable for?
I think
by me and the audience.
Oh, god damn.
Yeah.
Y'all don't micromanage me now. But I think definitely one thing is like what I talked about, like putting things into fruition.
Yeah.
Because I like thinking things, and I like, concepts and shit. But I really want to like make stuff. I want to make things. I'm a maker.
You're a maker, yeah.
Yeah, I want to make stuff, and we're going to make that happen, and we're going to make money.
Yes, please. Merch. I think we hold each other accountable for merch. And building the community, I think I really enjoy that. At one point, I had a book club, but it's separate from the podcast, and I did really enjoy that. But everyone lives like all over the world, and I couldn't find a time for everyone to meet.
The time difference was so rough.
Yeah, so now I gotta stand my ground and be like, motherfuckers, we are meeting at this time.
Yeah.
No, there's no more like, oh, but it's like 2 a.m. and you deal with that. It's not my problem.
We gotta stand our ground.
I gotta stand our ground now. Yeah, for sure. That is one of them.
What about you? What is one thing I should just
hold me accountable?
Yes.
Focus on the now,
podcast?
I think.
Focus on the now.
Oh, I do have something I want to ask you.
My God.
Okay. Because I get into these like self-doubt ruts and just like low points of my life.
Don't ask me about my 5-year plan. It doesn't exist.
That's the thing. Okay, because you're more like present than I am, I would say.
Yeah, I'm more like just doing shit randomly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then sometimes I get into these like feels where I'm like I have self-doubt. So I'm like, oh my God, should I even be doing this podcast anymore? And then I get into this spiral and be like, does she want to do this podcast anymore? Am I the only one who wants to do this podcast? What is the, you know? And then I'm like, does she want, like, because I think I'm much more like a to-do list person.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, Monday we got to do this. Tuesday we got to do this and this and that. And then it gets really like structured sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I kind of feel like, oh my God, I'm like, I need to chill. Bitch, you gotta chill. And then I'm like, am I micromanaging you? Like, am I putting too much pressure on you? Does she want to do this podcast? Oh my gosh, she doesn't want to do it.
Is this what you spend your Saturday night doing? Like, what is this fucking...
People be like, hey, you want to go to a club? No, I got plans. And I gotta sit at home and just be like, she doesn't want to do this podcast anymore. Be like, how do I end this? How are we gonna, oh my God, we have not.
I can't. Oh my God.
Yeah. And I know it's not a big deal, honestly, because I always get out of it and I'm like, that was silly.
You're gaslighting yourself right now. Let's just watch this whole thing unfold. This is one woman show. Yeah. I was like,
this is a one woman show, actually. Yeah. And then I don't know. I just need a clear answer from you.
I'm being put on the spot.
This could be the last episode of this podcast.
Yeah, what if I'm like, no? And just like, okay, everyone, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Forget about Patreon.
Obviously, I am here. I think I'm always kind of like what you say, I don't have like, oh, I want this to be like, I know who I am and I'll do things that align with that.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what I'm gonna do next year, but I'm sure that I want to do the podcast.
Wait, do you want to do this podcast next year?
Yes. Yes, I'm sure I want to do the podcast because I think I'll know when I don't want to do something.
Right. But would it be like the tomorrow? You know what I mean? Like you got to give me like a 2 weeks notice.
God damn. I think so. Like to me, okay.
I'm just messing with you.
But to me, like this podcast is kind of like, I'm thinking of it as like obviously it's like has future. Like I see it evolves to different things. I don't know what it's gonna be. I have not thought about the future.
Yeah.
But I think like my goal is that we'll both grow into who we're meant to be, and so will this podcast, and it will probably evolve into something else, like a fucking NFT or something. I don't know. But I think it will be like, I'm pretty excited to see it like just unwrap.
Yeah.
Like not knowing what to do, but see it just like falling into places like now. Like I think right now it's where it's supposed to be, but maybe in 6 months we grow and then it will grow with us.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm still going to do a podcast because you keep looking at me like I'm about to leave.
No, you know what I'm thinking? I'm like, should I just sell feet pics on NFT? Is that going to make us
Just
money?
nudes, NFT nudes.
I will never financially recover from these microphones. I'm just saying.
Please, Patreon.
And on that note, to close off this episode, please check out our Patreon and consider subscribing to us. That will help us out tremendously financially to cover these microphones and fucking cords that we bought.
Maybe like a new stand or something.
Oh, a mic stand. Yeah, we said that. We keep saying that. And we're still holding them with our, like peasants, we're holding them with our hands. So please, yes, sponsor us new mic stands.
Yes, you can also find us on Instagram at sugahoneybbt. Please follow us. We make a lot of content. We spend a lot of time making them. You can also find our PayPal details on our Instagram and Patreon as well. And you can find us separately. Super fun on Instagram.
What is your issue?
I don't know. Super fun at BBT Mommy and at Sensitive Bao.
And that's right. And yeah, Happy New Year to everyone. And Chinese New Year is coming up. So yeah. I mean, happy Chinese New Year to you guys too. I don't know anymore. I'm looking too far into the future. This is when you gotta tell me I need to focus on the now.
Yes. So we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, we'll say goodbye. And also, do you still want to do this podcast?
God damn.
All right, bye.